My high is just being here. I've lived around here my whole life, and I've actually never river rafted.
My views and perspectives are definitely changing. Starting to realize how many problems there are with some of these trees.
My high was definitely when Richard let us row the boat for a while. That was really cool. I've never been on a river trip, and being able to figure out the dynamics of that was cool.
I'm here basically because I needed a change, a huge change. I really had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it's been good. It will allow me to grow and be a better person.
My low is when McKenna and I were crawling through that evil Queen's Forest and thinking for a minute if maybe it knows what we do for a living.
It looks more intimidating than it is if you actually follow it down with your eyes, down at the trunk. It's actually very doable.
General safety concerns?
Stay hydrated.
If you're sawing, talk to your sawyer about how you want to communicate.
I love seeing crew leaders and crew members come together, form into community, family type units, learn each other's highs and lows, learn how to take care of and respect each other in hopes of repairing the riparian system of the Dolores and its tributaries.
So I'm glad that we're finally starting and we're on our hitch cycle. I don't know, it feels like we're finally getting underway with the season here, so I'm really excited about that.
Start from the dam, the seed source, and work your way down, because it's not going to do you any good if you start all the way at the bottom and then all the seeds can just go right down the river and replant and start it all over again.
And it runs into the Dolores. So you really have to start with as much as you can that would repopulate the Dolores after we finished with it.
It was definitely no longer just like cutting giant, easy to cut tamarisk. It was like tamarisk and willows all in the same, and I'm feeling like I'm just killing my own guys while trying to cut down the tamarisk. It was definitely a little bit harder, but still rewarding all the same once you get through that tragedy.
Like when we first heard about disappointment, it was from people who'd been here before, and they're like, "Oh, it's hell. Disappointment Valley. It's horrible." And you get here and you're like, alright, it's not as dense as it could be. It's not as bad as it could be. It's actually rather beautiful.
We're just going to walk up the road, and then that'll take us back to where we'd been hiking down. And then this is the wall section that we had spent the last 2 days on before. And Richard has floated the river raft down to right here. This is private property. It's really important that we pay attention to this private property line. These people do not want us on their land. Okay. One.
I'm disconcertingly near the water right now.
3. Paddle backward strong.
We, with just chainsaws and sprayers, are making much lower impact than a helicopter coming around spraying chemicals over acres at a time, or like some heavy equipment coming up and just like ripping a path through down by the riverside. Whereas we can come in and go through and see like one, tamarisk stand or something in the sea of native species.
Not only if you used heavy machinery would you be, like he was saying, wiping out all the native species that we're trying to protect and allow to revegetate, but you'd also be applying Garlon to those species and letting them suck it down to the root ball and taking them down as well on that level.
With the helicopter method, or disturbing and making roads with the heavy machinery method, it is mostly invasives that tend to come back in disturbed soils afterwards. So the end goal is actually further away if you were to come in a really high impact manner.
People think just one approach is going to work, but really it's a combination of every approach.
In the spirit of Ned Ludd and the Luddites, mechanization just takes more of our jobs from us.
Someone else gets this all, I hope they just take care of it.
A relatively cheap labor with kind of an end goal that's a little more than just the work. It's a little more on development.
Have you noticed when you look out in the canyon how much more beautiful it is?